Hey gang, so this is our Unit 1 review. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do TEK 5A. We're going to solve linear equations with variables on both sides, combining like terms, and we're going to use distributive property. And we're going to solve real-world application problems involving solving equations. Most of ours was focused on I can solve an equation. These are all like the little subcategories of that. So let's start off with number 1. Now I'm not going to solve all of them all the way. I will work on some of them, and then I will coax you through some of the other ones. All right, remember what I said when you're solving an equation. Count the number of terms, 1, 2, 3 on this side and 2 on this side. Anytime you have 3 on one side, probably have something that can go together. So I'm going to look at that, and yep, I noticed right off the bat, 2b and 1b, those are both the b family. 2 plus 1 is 3. The last name is b, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to mark those off because I used them. And I'm going to say plus 6 equals 21 minus 2b. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to walk you through this. I want you to move all the b's over here and the numbers over here. What is on the number side that I do not want? Yeah, negative 2b. So I'm going to draw my teeter-totter, my balance beam, and I want to keep it flat. I don't want it to dip either way. So if this is a negative 2b, how do I get a 0 right here? What do I need to add to negative 2b? Yeah, add 2b on both sides. That's going to give you 3b plus 2b. It'll give you a 5b. Now how do I get the 6 over here? Yep, I need to subtract 6. So subtract 6 from both sides. 21 minus 6 equals, and then I've got that 5b over here. Divide both sides by 5 and get your b equals. Alright, pause your video if you need to finish that. Hit your space bar. And here we go on the next one. 4 times 3 will give me 12x, and 4 times 9 will give me 36. Hippity-hoppity, distributive property. We're going to multiply along the way. Here we go, hippity-hoppity. Negative 3 times 6 will be negative 18. Negative 3 times negative 2. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. 3 times 2 gives me 6. And I still have the x. Now I'm going to use that little trick. I'm going to count. Ooh, this only has 2 terms. This has 2 terms. That means when I go to solve this, I don't have any like terms. So I'm just going to draw my line, and I'm going to remember what my x is on the left and my numbers on the right. All right, I'm going to move. Sorry, my marker's like, wow, it's coming for you. Okay, I want to get a 0 here. So I would subtract 6x, right? Subtract it from both sides. And when you do that, this will cancel out. And then I'm going to move the 36 over here. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides. And then I'm going to end up with 6x over here, and I'm going to divide both sides by 6. Pause your video, hit the space bar. Alright, this is going to hippity-hoppity, so I'm going to negative 2 times 5 and negative 2 times negative 3n. So this is 4 minus 2 times 5 will be 10. And negative 2 times negative 3 will be positive 6n equals 6 plus 5. And we're just going to bring that straight down. Nothing's going to go together. Use your rule. What 3 things are on the left that I can put together? Okay. I can put the 4 and the negative 10. Now that is 4 minus 10. So when you go to use your calculator on that, be sure you put in 4 minus 10. So that you can get the answer. I'm going to let you do that. Oh, I know. Miss Dean, why don't you do that? So you're going to end up with negative 6 plus 6n equals 6 plus 5n. Subtract 5n from both sides. Okay. And then that negative 6 you've got over here, how do you get rid of it? When you draw your line, you're going to add that 6 to both sides. Now that was a lot of 6's, so because of that I am going to kind of get this one going for you. Here's what we've got. So I would subtract the 5n I'm going to do it in a different color, but because I don't have a lot of room, the 6 I would add 6. Alright, that cancels and that cancels. And I get 1 in. Oh wait, was that adding? That doesn't cancel. What does that give me? That's 12. That cancels. I canceled out the wrong thing. 6 plus 6 is 12. And that's 6 minus 5 is 1. So n equals 12. All right. I've got a big hole right there in my paper. All right, so I'm going to work this one. I'm going to draw my line. E's and numbers. So I'm going to make this my numbers, this my E. I'm going to do the opposite here. I'm going to add 2.7 E to both sides. That will cancel. When I add this, I get 5.0 E plus 6.2 negative 3.8. Well, I want to move that 6.2 to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 6.2. I'm going to let you add this together, and I'm going to have 5.0 E equals whatever this is. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5.0. And that's going to give me E equals something. Be sure you circle it so I can find it. Pause your video, hit the space bar. Alright, let's hippity-hoppity distributive property. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to remember that trick. If I have 3 things on one side, 3 terms, probably something going together. And I definitely see something on this side that I could put together. Alright, 3 minus 5 will be negative 2x plus 18. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times negative x is negative 2x. From here, oh, let's do this one. This is a great one to do. Let's move that x. So let's add that 2x right here. What do you notice on this one? Do you notice anything? Aren't these identical? Yeah, I think so. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. But negative 2 plus 2 is 0 again. You end up with 18 equals 18. And we talked about this being a true statement. If I get a true statement, that means what? Every single number works. So my solution is all real numbers. Or you could say all real numbers. Every single number I use would work. Alrighty. I'm going to use that trick. If there's 3 terms on one side, probably something going together. Put those together. Over here, I'm going to rewrite this so that I can see it a little better. I'm going to remember that there is a 1 in front. Okay? And that 1 is going to have to distribute across. 5 and 8 will give me negative 3z minus 16. I'm going to hippity-hoppity. Negative 3z minus 16 equals negative 10. Negative 1 times z will be negative 1z. Negative 1 times 5 will be negative 5. And I got 3 terms over there. What's going together? Yep, negative 10 and negative 5. Put those together. See if you can solve that one. Hit your space bar. Alright, hippity-hoppity, distributive property. We've got to do it twice. 5y minus 20 minus 19y equals negative 14y minus 7. like terms. Put them together. Negative 14y minus 20 equals negative 14y minus 7. Okay, I'm going to move that 14y over. And you probably already saw this coming. Those cancel. Negative 20 equals negative 7. That is not true. When you get a false statement, that means there's nothing out there that's going to work. So we're going to say no solutions. Or the empty set. Alright, Val measures the perimeter of her rectangular garden as 80 feet. There we go. The width is 3x plus 1 and the length is x minus 5. What is the length of the length and width in feet? Alright, so we know that the perimeter all the way around is 80 feet. We know that one side is 3x plus 1 and one side is x minus 5. Perimeter is walking all the way around. So remember when we talked about this in class, we labeled all the sides. Let's go ahead and label everything. So opposite this one, this would be 3x plus 1. And opposite this one would be x minus 5. Sometimes that makes it a little bit easier. And then whenever I worked it, I added up the x's and then I added up the numbers. Or those of you that like to stack, remember you can say 3x plus 1, x plus 5, oh I'm sorry, x minus 5. 3x plus 1 and x minus 5. And stack it up that way. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then negative 5 and negative 5, that's negative 10. Negative 10 plus 2 would be negative 8. So that means if I add up all the sides, I get 8x minus 8. Oh, hold on one second. Alright, sorry, I had a phone call. So 8x minus 8 is what my outside edges add up to. So I know that the perimeter is 8. So I'm going to say that 80, the perimeter, equals, and this is the perimeter. If I walk all the way around, that's what that is. So it's 8x minus 8. What you're going to do is solve this equation for x. Go ahead and start by adding 8 to both sides. And then you're going to divide by the 8 that's in front of the x. Now, when you get that, when you get x equals that number, look at what it's asking. What is the length? So when you figure out what x is, you're going to have to take that x and plug it in right here. And figure out 3 times whatever you got over here plus 1. What is that? And that's going to be the length. The width is going to be whatever you got right here minus 5. Alright, so be sure you finish that out. Alright, we're getting close to being done. Let's see if I want to do this. Okay, so you know what? This one is probably not the best one for us to have on this review, partly because you're writing an equation. I'm going to read it to you and then we'll go from there. The cost of t-shirts R Us to make shirts is set as a setup fee of $25 plus $5 per shirt. The cost of shirts for less is $50 for a setup fee and $4 per shirt. When would the cost be the same? I was checking that. How would the cost, when would the cost be the same? How many t-shirts would you need to purchase? Which company would you choose if you needed more than 30 shirts? Explain. Okay, so the part that I don't like is that you have to come up with the equation on this. I'm going to help you write it, and then I'll have you answer the questions once you know it. Okay, so we have a setup fee of $25, and we're going to pay $5 for every shirt. That's going to be the t-shirts R Us. The cost of shirts for less is a $50 setup fee, but we're only paying $4 per shirt. If you want to know when are they the same, you're going to set them equal to each other. Okay, so you'll solve this. Then you're going to say, which company would you choose if you needed more than 30 shirts? Well, think about this. Once you solve this, you're going to get a number. And then the 30 shirt part, if I took 25 plus 5 times 30, ooh, there we go, 30. What does that equal? And that's going to give me a number. That's how much 30 shirts would cost here. And then I could do 50 plus 4 times 30 and figure out how much 30 shirts would cost here. And whichever one was cheaper is the one I would go with. So you've got 3 things you're going to do. I'm sorry, my son is doing dishes. Let's take this one. Let's start by subtracting 4x. Subtracting 4x. So that's going to give me 1x equals 25 and 50. I would subtract 25. So x equals 50 minus 25 is 25. The shirts are the cost is equal at 25 shirts. So if you need, which company would you choose if you needed more than 30? Well, you could look at it this way. If I get more than 30, this one's probably going to be cheaper because it's only $4 per shirt, right? But let's look in here. 25 plus 150. That would be $175. This one would be 120 plus 50. So this one is $170. This one is cheaper, right? So that is shirts for less. Shirts for less is cheaper. I'll put a star there. All right, that's really all on that one. We don't have one that hard on the test, I don't think. I don't remember us having anything like that. Okay, Mrs. Mayberry showed this example to her students, and it is called My Favorite No, because she said it showed a common mistake students make, but the rest of the math was wrong. What is the mistake? Well, let's look. I see the mistake. Do you? Remember, we're going to put the 1 and we're going to hippity-hoppity distributive property. 3 and then negative 1 times 2 is, let's see, negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 5 would be positive 5x. So, right here when they hippity-hoppity, they didn't multiply. So on step 3, they forgot that a negative times a negative is a positive. That is the mistake. And I think, I'm about to see. Yeah, that concludes TEK 5A. All right, thanks for watching.